Right, we're looking forward to this. I think it's going to get fiery, so let's get straight into it, shall we? This is the controversial Elgin Marbles or Parthenon statues debate. We have to be very careful now with this.
This week, Rishi Sunak was accused of throwing a hissy fit over the Elgin Marbles. He was due to meet the Greek PM Kyriakos Mitsotakis at COP28 in London.
Yeah, very, very good. Well, the historian and broadcaster Rafe Heydel-Mankoo is here with us, and the broadcaster Tonia Buxton. They're both on the studio. And Rafe, you passionately believe, don't you, that the marbles belong in the British Museum?
I do. I'm terribly sorry. But I should say I'm also part Greek. My great-grandfather, Zygmunt Maneko, discovered the Temple of Zeus at Dodona. And my cousin, the Greek Prime Minister, George Papandreou, is one of the leading voices calling for their restitution. So I understand, and I'm very sympathetic to the Greek cause. But it would set a terribly dangerous precedent if we were going to return the Elgin Marbles. You know, the British Museum and the Louvre and the Met in New York are a unique group of institutions. They're what we call world encyclopedic museums. They're repositories for some of the world's finest treasures. In order for us to place things like the Elgin Marbles or the Benin bronzes in their wider global context, and that speaks to our shared humanity, and it enables us to chart and compare the ascent of man, essentially. And that's why. And I think it's also quite retrograde to think that, you know, we have to return objects to where they came from. It's as if you can only go to Greece or to Cairo to look at Egyptian or Greek artefacts. You know, most of the world will never go to Cairo or to Athens, whereas London, Paris and New York enables a far larger portion of the world to actually view these great items.
Rafe, okay. you are messing with a... honestly... Tonia is just about to let go. I can just feel it.
Bring it on, bring it on.
You're setting a precedent for justice and for morality. Because let me set the example of why the Parthenon marbles are where they are. They were stolen. Greece was under Ottoman occupation at the time. And then the British...
there was no Greece.
No. I did not interrupt you, you charming man that you are. I just wanted to let it out there. Greece was under Ottoman occupation. In an occupied country. Let me give you a little example of where it sits in. So imagine that when France, Paris, was under Nazi occupation, the Nazis, before the Americans came into the war, decided to sell the top of the Eiffel Tower, not all the Eiffel Tower, just the top of the Eiffel Tower, to the Americans. And the Americans took it and they put it next to the Statue of Liberty. Would that be acceptable? Would you agree with that?
Mm. Well, modern Greece is a 19th century creation.
No. Oh, right? This whole thing about you changing...
That's the first thing we need to do.
I read and write Greek, and I can, because I've learnt modern Greek, I can read ancient Greek. Some of the languages change, but don't try to make the ancient Greeks and the modern Greeks two different things, because that is completely wrong. So my point is, to continue my argument on this one, is they were stolen. They were stolen, and the British government acted like handlers in stolen goods. So this morality story, this story is so wrong on so many levels. And the main thing is that they are part of a sequence. They are a frieze. There is 192 soldiers of Marathon depicted on the friezes, on the marbles. So you're separating. It's like cutting your family portrait in half and putting half here and half there. There is no morality to this, apart from what the British Museum says. No, their imperialistic attitude is, we've got it so everybody can come and see it.
It's not an imperialistic attitude.
It's very much...
As I was saying before, I was interrupted. Modern Greece didn't exist in the 19th century. They were purchased from mandate from the Sultan. And you have to remember, half of the marbles were already destroyed when the British arrived. If Lord Elgin hadn't saved them for the world, they probably wouldn't exist today. No, actually, I didn't interrupt you, did I? Thank you so much. So it was thanks to Britain bringing them over back to the UK that they were saved, actually. And it was Britain that made the Elgin marbles into the globally recognised artefacts that they are. That's absolutely true.
That's just rubbish. They were beautiful marbles.
Can I please at least have more than 30 seconds to develop a point? That would be lovely.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. And it was the fact that they were brought to the British Museum that enabled the educated world from Germany, from France, from Italy and Britain to actually celebrate these and rediscover Greek civilization and celebrate it for the world.
Bear in mind... No, this is... I can't
honestly,
accept it, because it's
you have to accept it because there's facts.
It's a rubbish point. Oh, No, the world would
Greek
not...
civilization was rediscovered by the British and the French, for heaven's sake. I mean, Greeks weren't the ones rediscovering Greek civilization.
British culture is because of the democratic system in Athens that happened during the Periclean time.
But the ancient Greeks and the modern Greeks are worlds apart. Modern
no,
Greeks
they are
weren't
not worlds apart. How rude, how disgusting to say that.
Excuse me, my great-grandfather was discovering Greek temples in Zeus, so I do understand a bit of this. Thank you very much.
We are talking about... I am a classical history scholar as well, so I understand much of it.
Well, then you know the role that Britain played in rediscovering Greek civilization.
Thomas Bruce was allowed to go to the marbles and to take sketches and maybe take some of the marbles that had been crushed down because the Venetians threw a bomb in and some of the marbles had broken. But he didn't. He allowed his henchman, Lucieri, to actually hack off marbles from the phrases. It's written down that even Lucieri stated, oh, we had to be quite barbarous. They stole them. They hacked them off.
They saved them.
And the British Museum did not look after them.
The British saved them.
In the 1930s, they were washing the marbles with bleach and wire brushes.
They wouldn't exist today were it not for the fact that they are safely secured within the British Museum, all right? And there's a dangerous precedent that's being set here. In this era, when we've had our institutions captured by the woke ideology of decolonisation, you can just see how we would have our museums stripped if we let museum curators actually
Greece has promised to
all
give
of these
beautiful artefacts for you to display in the British Museum.
Oh, well, that's like us giving an old...
The argument is, one of the great arguments is that imagine your house is on fire, Ellie, and you lend your neighbour your paintings. You say, please, can you look after my paintings because my house is on fire. The Ottomans were ruining the Parthenate marbles. And then 3 years later, you get your house fixed, and you say, please, can I have my paintings back? And they say, no, you can't have them. That's what Britain did.
The whole argument
is no. Yeah, I'm afraid we are out of time. Thank you so much, though. Fiery debate. Were they stolen or were they saved? Yeah.